Cinemassacre. Monster Madness.
Looking for a good horror flick? Let me lend you a hand. From 1946, it's The Beast with Five Fingers. In other words, the thing at the end of your wrist. You'd think it's just some dumb movie about a hand that goes around killing people, but it's much more psychological than that. It was written by Kurt Soidmak, who wrote The Wolfman, and directed by Robert Florey, who almost directed Frankenstein, which he worked on the script for, but instead went on to direct Murders in the Rue Morgue. It takes place in an old mansion where there lives a pianist. And that's right, I said pianist. I'm going against the grain here. Everybody else says penis. Why is that the accepted pronunciation? Not only does it sound like the male body part, but you don't play a pino, you play a piano. You're a pianist. Piano, pianist. What's the problem? If you're gonna say penis, can you at least say it like pianist? Pianist? Instead of rolling it into one thing so it sounds like penis? Oh wait, I got it. I know how to pronounce it. Here's something we can all agree on. How about this? Let's just say piano player. Okay, alright, what was I talking about here? Alright, the piano player, or let's call him by name, Francis, is on the verge of dying, so he gathers together his only friends to witness the reading of his will. It's the old cliche, and the movie starts off very tedious, just like this review, but if you give it a chance, I assure you, it gets really good. Just like if you made it past my penis rant, getting past the beginning of Beast with Five Fingers is rewarding. The center of it all, and the real star of the movie, is Peter Lorre, who plays a guy named Hillary. Let's just call him Peter Lorre. He works for Francis, but during his free time, he researches ancient secrets of astrology from Francis's book collection, which he's become obsessed with. To make a long story short, Francis dies and some of his cousins come along to take his possessions, including his books. Not having access to the books infuriates Lorre, and also, to further complicate this, he's also shaken up by an event that happened right before Francis died. They got into an argument, and for a dying man, he has a strong grip. This violent act sets the tone for the rest of the film, as Lorre is seemingly traumatized, or for better words, haunted by the memory of Francis's hand. Many murders take place, and you're led to debate whether it is the severed hand of Francis that is doing the killing, or it's actually Lorre and the hand is only in his mind.
I saw it with my own eyes. I have to find it. It must be somewhere. You must help me find it. Calm down. You must help me find it, Hillary. You must.
This is some pretty heady stuff well before Psycho. The added touch that he may be delving into the occult is a great little nuance that might mean that something supernatural could be going on.
Hand. It's Ingram's hand.
At least it's not his penis. The special effects for the hand are well done for this era, although there are some shots where it looks pretty lousy. The real reason to watch this film is for Peter Lorre. He steals the whole show. He is excellent at portraying characters with psychological disorders, most famously in M from 1931, directed by Fritz Lang. Many would say that was his best performance, but I sincerely believe this to be his crowning achievement. When I think of Peter Lorre, the first movie that comes to mind is The Beast with Five Fingers. His eyes, his voice, his mannerisms, it has his signature stamp all over it.
Don't you hear it? It's blasting my eardrums. I can't stand it.
Before this, he was never actually a horror star. The things he did only seldom overlapped with the horror genre. But this is the first time I feel his face has been carved into the hypothetical Mount Rushmore rock along with Lugosi, Karloff, and Chaney. The pacing in the final act is exceptionally eerie, with Lorre slowly wandering about, with shadows everywhere, and I can never forget those shots of him standing there doing nothing while the hand plays the piano. Watch it late at night and absorb it all in. It makes you feel like you're living his nightmare. It may be a little uneven, but I think it's one of the most underrated horror classics of the 40s, one of few to not come from Universal. It's Warner Brothers. The plot bears similarity to the silent film The Hands of Orlok from 1924, starring Conrad Veidt from Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And the same director, too, Robert Veen. It was about a piano player who gets both his hands severed. It was remade in 1935, titled Mad Love, starring Colin Clive and Peter Lorre. It was directed by Karl Freund, the great cinematographer of the silent era who directed The Mummy. It was remade again in 1960, starring Christopher Lee. The idea of a hand that crawls around is more typical than you'd think. We can't forget Thing from the Addams Family, but more specifically, Killer Hands. There was the crawling hand from 1963, then in 1981 there was just plain The Hand, starring Michael Caine and directed by Oliver Stone. As far as individual scenes go, there's Evil Dead 2, which has probably the greatest human versus hand battle ever filmed. But what it all boils down to, I guess you can say, The Beast with Five Fingers is the best of the killer hand movies. I can't believe that could be a sentence.
I tell you, it was the hand.